Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. Today we have a big potential Perkz rumor to talk about, but you guys know the drill. Before we get into it, make sure you check out the first link in the description below, twitch.tv/I_am_Germ. That's my Twitch channel. My plan for the rest of 2021, but really into 2022 is to hit the ground running with Twitch content. I want to do a lot of live streams. I want to, really build up my community over there. So if you guys would check that out, drop a follow. If you got a Prime, drop that. That would be absolutely awesome. I would appreciate it ton. With that being said, let's go. So we all know, we've already talked about this. We've covered this here on the channel. This tweet from Alejandro, where he does say that Perkz and Alphari would be considering options to play together in 2022. Now, he's not the only one saying this. We've heard this from other sources. You know, Wooloo had like the two gods tweet, whatever. And obviously, this is a pretty well-known thing at this point that Perkz could be leaving Cloud9. Alphari could be leaving TL. They could both be leaving their respective teams. They could be jumping ship going to EU, maybe another NA team. And it's going to be crazy. This is going to be one of the biggest ongoing stories of the entire offseason. Where does Perkz end up? Where does Alphari end up? Because yes, it says they would like to play together, but it also says that the two players obviously are, fielding their own offers for themselves individually, leaving their teams as well. Because getting Perkz and Alphari together, buying them both out from TL and Cloud9 going to be very, very expensive. It's almost, I want to say, very unlikely, if near impossible for most teams, if any teams, to meet the price tag of both of these guys and still have the money to fit a good team around them that would be attractive enough for them to both want to join in the first place. That's going to be very, very difficult to do. But one of the things I did want to talk about is actually inside this article. I know a lot of people don't do this, but it's crazy. You can actually click on the articles. You can actually, find out what people are talking about more. And in this article, Alejandro actually talks about something very, very interesting that I wanted to dive into a little bit further. Something we've actually talked about previously. Something we talked about last offseason. And that is the potential idea of Fnatic Perkz, and maybe even Alphari Perkz as well. But, Alejandro does say here that according to close sources, the most interested team in these two guys would be Vitality. But he does say that Vitality wouldn't be the only organization interested in these two. Some other European organizations, like Fnatic, would be considering the option of acquiring both players, in addition to there being some interest from NA teams, so the future of many players remains uncertain. Because again, this is all a big, game of dominoes. Before any of the other small pickups can happen, before any of the small dominoes can fall over, we need the big guys to decide what they're going to do. Because every team is holding out. Every team thinks, maybe we could get Perkz. Could we get Perkz and Alphari? Could we get Alphari? Whatever. No one has Darshan as their plan A. If Alphari's on the market, you're going to try and get him. Now, if Alphari signs elsewhere and some other people, start dropping off, maybe then you end up with Darshan. But you don't, like right now it's October 27th. You're not going after players of that caliber at this point. You're trying to go after the biggest, the best. So, obviously, there's so many different players, teams, careers, rosters, whatever, that are being held up by this whole situation because of just how massive it is. But the idea of Fnatic is actually very, very interesting because we know from last offseason that Fnatic was most likely interested in Perkz. If not, we know for certain he was interested in Perkz. Obviously, Carlos has talked about how there was no way he was going to let Perkz go to Fnatic. There was no way he was going to let Fnatic have Perkz. Does that mean Fnatic showed interest for sure? Does that mean they reached out for sure? How quickly were they shut down by Carlos? And how did Perkz feel about that whole situation? We assume, or maybe we even know, that Fnatic was interested and Perkz was interested. And at that time, there was a lot of people, maybe tongue-in-cheek, maybe, just completely joking, saying, how crazy would it be if, Perkz does want to go to Fnatic, Carlos won't let him. What if Perkz goes somewhere else for like 1 year and then, Carlos can't block him anymore? And then Perkz can go to Fnatic. If Fnatic is where he wants to be and Fnatic wants him, what if we have some kind of, deal going on behind the scenes? What if we have a little under the table? Okay, whatever, Carlos, I'll go to Cloud9. That's fine. And people actually said that, I got comments about that for sure. I saw people saying that. And again, it was mostly joking, but all of a sudden, that is starting to heat back up. Now, obviously, that article said that Fnatic is potentially, trying to find out if they can acquire both these guys. And I don't blame them in that. But again, it's going to be very, very expensive. Fnatic and most European organizations don't have the kind of money that North America has. And does even a North American team have the money to buy out both of these guys? I mean, depending on how big their buyouts are going to be, we saw how much Perkz was worth last year. We saw some of the crazy buyouts for some different players, different teams, different names last year. So it makes this whole thing very, very difficult. And obviously, Fnatic, even of the European teams, has not necessarily been one of the most financially responsible or even just, the biggest backed organizations. But one interesting thing here is that they did actually land a new sponsor this year. They did get this sponsorship from Crypto.com, entering esports with a $15 million Fnatic sponsorship. Now, this is $15 over 5 years, so obviously $3 million per year. And $3 million is most likely not going to get you a buyout for both Alphari and Perkz. And obviously, all $3 million of that dollars isn't going to the League of Legends roster. They have a whole organization. They have a million different things going on. But it is $3 million added to their already, existing budget. So maybe it puts them in a little bit better place. If they couldn't get Perkz last year because they couldn't afford him, because Carlos was blocking it, whatever, maybe now all of a sudden they're in a better spot this year. They obviously, maybe they can sell off some players. Maybe they can make some moves. But man, a team of Perkz plus Upset Hylissang bot lane all of a sudden becomes very, very interesting. Now, maybe you throw Alphari in the top lane as well. I don't know who they're going to end up with as their jungler. But I do think that Fnatic Perkz becomes a very, very real possibility. And I think it would make a lot of sense for Perkz if Fnatic can make some other moves and get this good team around him. Fnatic was already a good team last year. They were the second best team in Europe. Europe is seen as one of the better regions in the world. Yes, they didn't have that great of a year, but it would be a lot of good things for Perkz. It would give him a chance to go back to Europe, which is obviously his home. I don't know if he liked the United States or didn't, or if he wants to go back to Europe, if he likes it better. Obviously, most people think that Europe is overall a more competitive region, even though, they're pretty similar to North America this year. That was just kind of a one-off thing. I think most people expect things get back to normal next year. It would give him a chance to compete against G2 regularly. It would let him go to another big, massive organization that will allow him to continue to grow his brand, grow his popularity, grow his fan base, all that stuff. The Fnatic fan base is crazy. The G2 fan base is crazy. The Cloud9 fan base is crazy. He's growing all over the place, making tons of money, winning tons of games, doing all this stuff. And yeah, Fnatic was a pretty good team last year, and obviously most people would say he would be an upgrade over Nisqy. And yeah, it would just give a new excitement, a new, life to Fnatic's fan base. And I think it would be very, very interesting. Because ever since Caps left, mid lane has been, to me at least, a position of, trouble for Fnatic. I don't think Nemesis was the answer. Now, Nisqy was a big upgrade over Nemesis. But again, I still don't think Nisqy is necessarily the long-term answer. And Perkz could absolutely be that. Now, again, how likely is this? I don't know. Where is the most likely landing spot for Perkz? Is it Vitality? Is it Rogue? Is it Fnatic? Is it, I don't know. Any of these teams in North America or EU, it's going to be very, very crazy, very, very interesting to find out. But one thing is for certain, Fnatic is at least an option. It is at least possible. It's something that we've heard about in the past, and it's going to come up once again this offseason. But that is pretty much it for this video today, guys. Definitely drop a like if you did enjoy it. I would appreciate it so, so much. Leave a comment down below. Do you think that Perkz should go to Fnatic? Do you think it could happen? Do you think it will happen? I would love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Subscribe, save today, and all my latest content. Hopefully catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace.